Hey, y'all, it's Zack, and welcome to the Lawyers Podcast, one of the many ways that we help lawyers build healthier firms, better businesses, and more sustainable lives. Today, I talk with Raquel Gomes about common pitfalls attorneys make when hiring staff, how to prepare for that hire, and how the term VA can be holding you back from building an incredible team. She's the CEO of Stafi, which is a virtual, team company. But really, she's got a background in psychology and runs a virtual distributed global team herself. So stick around and check out what she has to say.
Hi, I'm Raquel, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Stafi.
Hi, Raquel. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate you being on the podcast with us. I think we've had you on before, but if not, people that are common listeners to the podcast or labsters, I'm sure they've seen Stafi or heard you talk or seen you around as well. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Today, I want to talk about, because this Stafi is a staffing service, I want to talk about the 5 mistakes that law firms make when hiring VAs.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
You, first of all, let's not call them VAs. Let's call them remote offshore staffing.
Okay. So, we'll jump in. We'll get into mistake before mistake 1. So, why though? Why remote offshore staffing?
Because VA is, you're dehumanizing the person, when you're calling them a VA. And language really matters. It's really important in order to be successful in this journey of growing your law firm through remote offshore staff. It's really important that you treat them as well as you treat anyone who works for your law firm on site. And that's really the formula for success. And we're going to go into the 5 mistakes and all of that, but that's the beginning of it. So treating them as a human, treating them well, investing in them, and just incorporating them into your law firm, just as you would with on-site staff. So that's why it's important to call them differently.
Yeah, I really like that, because obviously in my wording, I didn't mean anything.
Of course.
Bad, But it makes sense when we say remote, offshore talent or offshore staffing or something like that. Now we're talking about incorporating this into our office instead of saying, well, this is my virtual assistant.
Like almost you're isolating them.
Right. And so I guess kind of if we were to boil it down, if a law firm is going to treat this like cheap labor instead of a team member,
right,
then they've really already kind of failed before they even get started.
Exactly. And like it's not like people have bad intentions when they say VA.
Right.
It's just the way, it's like a terminology that was created and kind of took off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, it like language really matters. So if you call them VA, you're almost making them disposable, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
And that's what makes law firms fail. When you see them that way, when you treat them that way, then is when things don't work out.
Well, okay. So I think that's a great lead into this, because I think a lot of the 5 mistakes that we get into here also kind of boil down to that in a lot of ways, of just not really thinking everything through and thinking of it as like a real hire. And frankly, I think people do a bad job of thinking through, all of their hires in the first place. But let's jump into mistake 1. What's the first mistake that people make when hiring offshore talent?
It's really hiring reactively instead of strategically, like waiting too long to hire and being desperate when you want to bring someone. So you want to bring anybody into the mix, and you don't take the time to truly define the role. So defining the role is the first step for success when working with remote staff, offshore remote staff or in-person staff.
Or
right?
in-person. I mean, I think, this can go for hiring anytime, right? Yeah.
Anytime, yeah. And defining the role really comes from auditing where your time is going
Okay.
And taking the time to define, okay, where am I spending, which tasks am I doing daily that are taking me away from being the true CEO of my law firm, right? It's just making me very busy. A lot of times when you're busy, you think you're productive, but you're not.
I feel that. Yeah.
Right? So you have to start delegating
Yeah.
all the busy work. And it really starts with auditing your tasks, identifying your tasks, and then you can define the role. That would be the first step for success.
And so defining that role, the kind of the flip side of that is getting into really defining or building a job description, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are we actually hiring here for?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And again, that's not just offshore talent. That is really hiring in the first place. So, okay. So we don't want to hire from a place of desperation. But I think people still do. What's mistake number 2 then?
The number 2 is doing a through vetting and screening assessment. I think most law firms, they rely on only 1 or 2 interviews when making a decision, and it's like a decision based on their instinct and not in analytics. So would really recommend not skipping any steps into doing a through vetting and screening process, which should definitely include assessments, behavioral, personality, skills, soft skills assessments, because there's a lot of people who interview really, really well, and they show their best behavior and their best self in an interview. So you're being seduced by the hire. and, you know, and you're hiring them because, oh, that person's fun. You think, oh, I like that person. I like their energy. But in reality, you're not hiring a best friend, right? You're hiring someone who can execute on the tasks that you need to let go, that you need to delegate. And so there's a lot of people that interview really well, but there's half of the population who don't interview well, but they're incredible assets. And I've seen this over and over again. So super, super important to support your decision with assessments. And the assessments and the results of the assessments, they're gonna be aligned with what the role needs. So for instance, if you need someone that is client-facing to do intake, you need them to have good social skills. You need them to be able to show empathy on the phone, right? You need that type of personality that can be okay with being on the phone for extended periods of time. Sometimes 90% of their day, 7 hours a day, is being on the phone if you're working for a high volume law firm, right?
Yeah.
And you need to assess those things, because someone can be very pleasant when you interview and you're like, oh my God, this person's gonna be a great intake. They can even do a role play, and you can do a live role play with them while you're interviewing, and it's gonna be, oh, they did great. They did amazing. I want this person on my team. But then this person burns out in the first month because they cannot keep up with being on the phone 7 hours a day. So those things need to be assessed so you're not having high turnover. The same thing when you need a paralegal. You need someone who is very great, high executor, very organized. Attention to detail is key, but social skills is not that relevant, you know? So you need to be able to test those things.
They don't necessarily need to be able. I think this is an interesting flip side of this. They don't necessarily need to be able to interview extremely well. They don't necessarily, they need to get the job done. And for all of these people, they need to get the job that, again, we've described really well.
Yeah,
they need to be able to get that job. So what are the? I want to hang on to this for a second, because I feel like this is a place where Stafi really, you guys have a lot of experience in. What are the types of things that y'all do to actually vet people? Because again, this isn't something that I think a lot of lawyers are extremely skilled with, of like, okay, well, let's have people take a personality test or something like that. What are some of the things that y'all do to do that?
So we do the assessment as the first thing to see which role they're a best match for. And then we do English assessments, oral and written. We do multiple interviews. One of the interviews is led by our in-house psychologist, because also depending on the traits that are showing in the assessment, we need to challenge a few things to see if they have the values that we want we don't want to hire people who are arrogant. For example, people who are blamers, they blame others, they're not learners, things like that. The other thing is, so I mentioned, so the interviews, the assessment, the English. Okay, so we call 5 years of employment to see if that person would be rehired.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
And we call universities to validate the degrees just to make sure, all the information that has been provided is true and accurate. What else are we doing?
Those last two are things that I know that as attorneys, we know we should, but I think there's a lot of people that won't make those last checks, those, like actually calling references, actually calling or connecting, and y'all are kind of pre-doing this. You've already done this because you have a roster of people that are, here and you're matching with other firms. So this isn't something where you've necessarily doing it in real time. You've done this.
Right. And the thing is that it takes a lot of time to do it. And also you have to constantly be following up because it's not like references are going to pick up the phone the first attempt or they're going to be able to talk to the right person in the university. So, it takes persistence and being on top of it. But it's important that you do it because you don't want to hire people who lied on their resume, right?
No, we do not want to hire people that lied on their resume. But that's
you
exactly. You
don't want to hire liars.
Okay, so we've got mistake number 1 is hiring without defining the role. Mistake number 2 is weak vetting. What's mistake number 3?
Not having a predefined, solid onboarding process. A lot of law firms, they hire someone and they think that person will just figure things out with time, or they're just going to shadow people around. While shadowing is highly valuable, and there's a lot of people in the assessments, which is interesting, it shows how someone learns. Does someone learns with more like data and SOPs and reading things step by step? Or is that person a learner will learn with experience and shadowing? So those are the also information that we're capturing from the assessments that are highly valuable. So having a weak onboarding really leads to demotivation, feeling demotivated, and turnover. 30% of new hires, they quit within the first 90 days on the job because of lack of clarity. So that's a really relevant data.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. But I like, again, I have my assumptions coming into this, and my assumptions are generally, let's have SOPs and let's make sure that people can work from SOPs. But what you're also saying is like, for some people, and some people do really well with shadowing. Some people probably do really well with both.
Absolutely.
And I can see how the onboarding system actually, again, all these things connect. This goes back to mistake number 1 of having the role clearly defined, because if you know what the heck they're supposed to do, what you're hiring for, then we can say, okay, well, how do we teach this new person, this new hire, how to do this? Yeah.
And I know that a lot of law firms, they don't have the SOPs and they're small and they don't have the time to create the SOPs. Usually we hear that. And what we suggest is that when we're hiring this person, you record everything. So whenever you're teaching them something, just record, and have that person turn those recordings into SOPs if need be, right?
Yeah.
So that's a way, that's a workaround. Also for intake and non-attorney sales, I highly recommend role-playing and shadowing. And listening to how you would take an intake call or how someone else, like listening and role-playing, give them 2 weeks before, that's between 1 and 2 weeks, depending on the type of person and how they learn. But usually people that are good with client-facing, they need to see it, feel it, touch it in order to be able to learn and perform.
That makes sense. Sense. Okay. So we've got, I'm just going to keep recapping these so people keep them in their head. We've got hiring without defining the role. We've got weak vetting. We've got no onboarding system. I see rushing to hire being number 4 here.
So rushing to hire is actually number 1.
Is part of number 1. Okay.
You should give yourself at least like a month to be able to get that right person in the right seat. If you're going to be like, oh, I need to hire someone tomorrow, most likely you're going to fail.
Okay, so that one worked.
Tomorrow, you will. I don't know who you. There will be people available.
They may be somebody that lied on their resume.
We take our time because we need to make sure that we're successful
Right.
with the placement.
So hiring without defining a role, which is also rushing to hire,
Right.
is number one. Then we've got weak vetting is number two. Number three, no onboarding system. What's number four for us?
So number four is really integrating them into your team. So remember we talked about the whole terminology of VA. There's a lot of law firms that they hire an offshore or nearshore remote staff and they isolate them. They simply send them tasks whenever they need them. And that person is going to feel very excluded, totally demotivated. They're going to lack understanding the big picture. They're not going to feel part of the team. Remember, they're humans. And humans need to feel motivated. They need to feel integrated. They need to feel part of something meaningful in order to stay with you. And I'm saying this from experience. So Stafi is about 11 years old. And we work with right now currently 450 law firms in the US. But internally, we have 100 staff. And from this 100 staff, I believe only 4 of us or 5 of us are in the US. So our entire team is in Latin America. And I make this work, and we have employees that have been with us for 11 years. And it really takes integrating them. There's different things you can do. But number one is include them in all forms of communication, have regular team meetings. Obviously, if you're a solo, you're meeting with this person regularly, meet with them daily. Use the technology that we have, use video. If you use Teams, Slack, whatever you use to communicate, add them to those communications, have them meet with other team members, have them collaborate with other team members. Just make them part of, if you plan an offsite, invite them, We just came back right now from an offsite in Colombia. We flew 20 people from all over Latin America. Last week we were in Medellin. I just got home on Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to leave Medellin.
I know.
I love that place.
I know. Have you been?
I have. It's amazing. But I could talk to you about that as
green.
Totally.
I know.
So green.
Yeah.
So green. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So y'all had a retreat that I envy in Medellin.
Yeah. Big training. So we're training them and continue training them. Yeah. So those things are important, and people, and I know sometimes as a business owner, you're in go mode, but the staff needs to feel part of.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to kind of reiterate this because I've worked with multiple Stafi hires on our team, currently working with one right now. And I talk with him every single day. And he is a part of all of our meetings, our team meetings, and all of this stuff. Yeah. Yes. And it is something where he's our team member. He's and it kind of flipping it from the other side of this person needs to feel motivated as well. I need to understand that this person is my team member and that we're working this person who was hired to do a job into the integration of our team. And so now I can rely on him.
Right.
Exactly. And I know what he's good at. I know how he works. I know how he likes to be managed, all of those things. So I want to put a big star next to this number 4 of integrate the person into your team, because I think it's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And the return that you will get from your hires, it will depend on the type of investment that you put in. 100%. And I think this is across the board, but with offshore, I think it's even higher just because they are not physically in the same place, and they need, and you need to have that relationship as if they were, in a way, right? So that's why making use of video if you're traveling, but making sure there's a lot of collaboration is super important.
Yeah. It's actually, it's funny. And again, I'm probably hanging on this point too much, but it's funny because, we are a fully dispersed digital team. But having, offshore talent is easy for us to integrate into our team, but also it makes it easier for me because I travel around all the time. And this is a person that is used to me showing up with different backgrounds,
Yeah.
like different backgrounds in my camera. But I meet with everybody from my phone when I have to, from my computer when I have to, all of those things.
Right.
So it is kind of like part of the ethos here in our company. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's easier for you, but we work with a lot of law firms that they have a main office and everybody's coming to the office. So it's harder for them, but that's why our team is with them every step of the way. And we've created an onboarding methodology in a month. And then after that, for the first 45 days where we're meeting with the client weekly, we're meeting with the client monthly, we're like reminding, we're like giving them homework. We're like there because it's really important to have that strong foundation for long-term success.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. What is mistake number 5 then?
It's really giving up too soon whenever there is a challenge. I would say that's the last mistake. And continuing to invest, mentoring, coaching that staff for long-term success. So again, going back to the investment part, we just met with our team and we offer this training where everybody got together. There's some social aspects, there's training aspects. I think like it's harder maybe for law firms depending on the size, but that the coaching, mindset coaching has a importance here. Specific job coaching. I mean, it's harder when you're a smaller law firm to have all those things in place because they are costly, right? But you can always designate a staff member to be the person, like the go-to for questions, but also someone who can coach that person in like best practices and things like that. In our case, we have our coaches that are assigned to every staff that is assigned to a law firm so that we have psychologists that provide the mindset coaching. We have paralegals with years of experience in the different areas of law, depending what area of law our clients practice. So that's an advantage you have when you work with us. But it's something that is important. Someone has to be that coach, that mentor to the staff. Whenever they have questions, they have to feel like there's someone who's approachable, that they can come in and they can talk about things like whatever it is, what things they're feeling or questions and things like that.
That makes sense. So, but it's kind of like not giving up too soon, but also making sure the flip side of that is investing in your people. That makes a lot of sense. Well, so you touched on some of this in talking about kind of the coaching and making sure that we're pushing this forward. What obviously you're with Stafi. What makes Stafi kind of different from some of the other places that I might go to get offshore talent or get help or things like that?
Yeah, I think my background is in psychology. I'm a psychologist. And I think because I view the human being as, I have this holistic approach of seeing someone, I know how important it is from the way we assess them before we match them. We offer the same assessment to our clients so we can better understand and communicate with them, and we can better match client with personalities as well. But also in the implementation, we're super hands-on with our clients throughout the whole entire onboarding and after onboarding as well, which makes them feel very supported. It's different than just, hey, I'm going to give you someone. This is a great match. Now it's all on you. We're there every step of the way, right, to make sure that we're guiding them, that we're supporting them. And then the whole methodology around coaching our staff. So anyone who's assigned to the law firm has at least 2 coaches assigned to them who are meeting with them regularly to make sure, like anything mindset related. Sometimes people feel anxious, they feel nervous, they burn out. There's a lot of law firms that deal with clients that go through a lot of trauma and that can cause burnout. So we're taking all of that into account. So and that is a major differentiator as well, because we're there not only supporting the law firm owner, but we're there supporting the offshore remote staff to make sure that they're doing okay, they're keeping motivated, they're keeping productive. So there's 2 sides to this in order to be successful.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, before we wrap though, you're also building something new for immigration firms, right?
Oh, yeah.
What what is this, and who is it for?
All right. So, immigration case outsourcing, we launched it
Mhm.
6 months ago. Right now, we are working, we have 100 clients already going
Oh
through the
wow.
service. Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's being highly successful. And we created this service just because of everything that immigration lawyers are going through. There's a lot of
Hmm.
changes, a lot of restrictions, a lot of burnout. And we saw a lot of law firms having to let go of staff, but still having a huge workload to deal with.
Still the same amount of work. Yes.
We're like,
Yeah.
how are you going to do it? How are you going to make it? How are
Hmm.
you going to pay your bills? How are you going to survive? How are you going to thrive? So immigration outsourcing is a very flexible service that they come to us. We take the production. So they hand us the cases. We work on the
Hmm.
cases. We have a team of lawyers and paralegals working in-house,
Oh, okay.
putting together from document collection to putting together the forms, the packages, and handing it a full executed package to the lawyer so they can review and file. And we charge a flat fee that is very inexpensive to the attorney.
Okay.
And we
Where,
handle humanitarian, family-based, I'm sorry,
no,
humanitarian,
no, yeah.
family-based, employment-based type of cases. There's a wide variety. You can go into our website, you can check. And it's very flexible because we don't require any minimum. You can send one case today, one case in 6 months. So there's no minimum requirement or minimum contractual term.
Okay. And they can just go to getstaffy.com to learn
Yeah,
more?
yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about kind of the mistakes that people can make here, but let's assume that people are going to get this right now. If a law firm does get this right, what's the upshot? What changes for them?
Wow. You get a top performing team that allows you to step into the true CEO of your own law firm. A team that you can delegate to, that you can rely on. And isn't that a dream, the dream of every business owner?
Yeah. I love that. You get a top performing team that lets you execute your vision.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, that's what we're looking for, right?
Execute
Well,
your vision and live life.
yes, exactly. Well, Raquel, thank you for being with me and sharing all of your knowledge on this. If people want to learn more about Stafi, where can they go?
www.getstafi.com. So get Stafi, GETSTAFI.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again for being with me, and we'll drop that link in the show notes.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was fun.